Start.
Hello everyone. In this today video, I am going to cover about Article 12. Article 12 is a fundamental right, and it is part of the third part, which includes the Article 12 definition and what are the key tests are available to check that whether any body is a state or not state, and some examples. Before going to that, discuss about Article 12. What is the purpose to know that any body is a state or not state? The purpose is to enforcement of the fundamental rights. If there is an enforcement of the fundamental right and there is a violation, then the people or individuals or the group can approach Supreme Court under the 32 article and High Court under 222(6) articles. So the main purpose is to enforcement of the fundamental rights. For enforcement of the fundamental rights, we should know that that body is qualified as a state or not. So what is the definition of Article 12? The scope includes the government and Parliament of India and the government legislatures of the states, any other local or other authorities within the territory of India and under the control of the government of India. This is the Article 12 definition. What are the tests which we have it to check that any body is qualified as a state or not? We have 5 tests are available. First one is public function test. Does the body executing any public function or serving any public interest? The second one is financial test. Is the body receiving funds from the government? 100% or majority funds are receiving from the government? If yes, that's considered as a state. If there is no funding or minimal funds are receiving from the government, that's considered as a not state. Third one is government control test. Does the government has the full control over the body administration or strategic decision or policy definitions or any day-to-day activities? If yes, that considers a state. No, it is not as a state. The fourth one is the status of authority test. Does the body is created by statute or constitution or government notification? If the test is passed, then it is considered a state, otherwise it's not a state. The fifth one, last test is monopoly status test. Does the body or entity enjoying any monopoly status which is created, provided or protected by the state? Then that is a considered as a state. Or if it is not considered as a state. For example, it's a BSNL. These are the 5 tests which performed by Supreme Court or a High Court to review that that body is qualified as a state or not before issuing any writs. The qualification is tested by using these 5 available tests. Then let's take an example. University. Is that university is a state or not state? Let's apply this all 5 tests and see that how this university becomes as a state or not state. Take an example of Mumbai University or Delhi University. Does that body executing any public function? In this case, university case, yes, because they are providing the education. That's a public function. Second one, does the body receiving any funds from the government? In this case, yes, they are receiving the funds or aided by the government or backed up by the government. In this case, the test is passed, so it's yes. Third one is government control. Does the body is a university is controlled by the government? In this case, yes. All the appointments or strategies or the course, administration, day-to-day activities, the government has full control over the particular university. The fourth one is source of authority test. Does the body is created by the statute or constitution or the government notification? In this case, the university is created by the government. So 4 tests passed. The 5th test is monopoly status test. Does this body or entity enjoying any monopoly status created by the government? In this case, it's a fail because the education world is not a monopoly. So 4 tests passed and 5th test is failed. So overall test results indicating that the body functions as an instrumentality of India, instrumentality of state. So then this university becomes as a state. So for example, take a private university, take next example is autonomous body. So autonomous body doesn't mean it is always not a private. So we need to apply all these 5 tests and see that end results. For example, if you take that IIMs or IITs or autonomous bodies. So if you apply all these 5 tests, it's having public function test, it is passed, financial test is passed, and because it's funded by the government. Third one is government control test, yes, it has a government control. And fourth one is does it created by the government or statute or constitution? Yes, it's created by the government. And the fifth one is monopoly status, it's a fail. So the end results indicating that the body is qualified as a state. Then that means the fundamental rights can be enforced. If any violation happens in the fundamental rights, then the individual's authority can approach either Supreme Court or High Court. Supreme Court is 32 article, High Court is 226 article. The next one is, take an example as the private hospitals in the healthcare domain. The private hospitals, if you apply all the 5 tests, public function, yes, that is also as per the Supreme Court guidelines, any hospital should provide the emergency care. So that means it's executing the public function. Second one is financial test. Yes, in this case, it is not funded by the government, so the test is failed. The third one is government control. So this is not controlled by the government, so the test is failed. The fourth one is the status of the source of authority test. It's also failed. It is not created by the government. Fifth one is monopoly status test. It is also failed. It is not, this entity is not enjoying any monopoly in this healthcare domain. So the only one test is called pass. It's a public function test. So passing the public function test alone, that's not qualified as a state. So it is, these private hospitals are not considered a state. But however, due to that these private hospitals are executing the public function, so the High Court allows to issue the writs under 226 article. Due to the fact these hospitals, private hospitals are executing public functions. The last one is public limited companies. Does the public limited companies are considered the state or not state? So for example, if you take LIC or BSNL, all these bodies are public limited companies. So it satisfies all the five tests. If you take a BSNL, all the 5 tests are satisfied. So the BSNL is considered as a state. So if you take any other software company or any other private company, if you apply this test against those companies, first one is public function test. So those companies are not executing any public functions. That test is failed. Second one is financial test. That overall the stake is in the private companies managed by the private board of directors or private people. And third one is government control, is minimum control having on that particular entity. And fourth one is a source of authority test. Is that created by government? In this case, no. Fifth one is monopoly status test. It's no. It's different to the providing the softwares and the products. Based on that, the monopoly test is passed or failed. But in this case, completely the 4 tests are failed. The monopoly status is depends upon the products or software which is the building by the company. So this is not considered a state. So in that case, we cannot enforce the fundamental rights, but that private company is established and created as part of the Companies Act. So they will follow that Companies Act. So for example, if any person is terminated, so the writs cannot be issued for that particular problem. So they can log the case in the civil suit. All these problems can be resolved as part of the particular act and provision. So the writs cannot be issued because this private company is not considered as a state. So if you see that the overall summary, so the Article 12 is support us or help us to identify any body is a state or not state. So the purpose is to know that any body is a state or not state is to the purpose is to enforcement of fundamental rights. If there is an enforcement of fundamental right, if any violation happens, then you can approach Supreme Court or High Court. If it is Supreme Court, it is under 32 article. If it is High Court, it is under 226 article. So this is the overall of Article 12. And thanks for watching my video. And if you like it, please subscribe and share and hit the bell icon. Thank you so much.